Hey guys, this is your host Jay. If you guys haven't liked, please like and subscribe. Today we're going to talk about human psychics versus ET psychics. In terms of, I guess, abilities, power, and influence. Okay, so we'll go through some scenarios that's happened in the past, and pretty much just to gauge in relatively the scale of human psychics compared to ET psychics. Before we talk about the psychic abilities of the ET, I want you guys to have a think about what we have around Earth. Okay, we'll go into the first apex predator that we have, which is a tiger. They have a heightened sense of smell, a heightened sense of hearing, and also sensing ability. They can sense when a prey is near or when someone is close by. It's attributed to all the senses combined together, and a sixth sense, a kind of knowing sense. Their ability to pick up when the prey is near or if they're in danger stems from a survival mechanism, I guess, back when their ancestors, the saber-toothed tiger, would have had to adapt to very harsh environments. I mean, if you think about it, if dinosaurs were around and saber-toothed tigers were around, they weren't the biggest on the block. They weren't also the strongest on the block, but somehow they seem to have survived throughout the ages and adapted to modern day, much like the humans have. So there must be some form of adaptation that allowed them to survive throughout the ages into modern day. Okay, let's have a look at something that's more familiar to us, that everybody's had encountered, okay? So if you look at cats and dogs, right? How many times have you come from work to have your pets waiting for you, right? It doesn't matter what time you come home from work. It could be a random time. You'll find your pets already knew that you were coming home. It seems like they can sense when you're about to come home, and it's already waiting for you by the door. Now, that type of sensing ability is definitely a sixth sense, a psychic sense on part of your pets, either triggered by you or triggered by the animal for you to come home. So there's only two options, maybe three, right? The thought of you coming home and the thought of the pet wanting you to come home, or third option, you both had the same thought at the same time. Now let's talk about human psychic abilities. Here is where it becomes very interesting. If you think back into antiquity days, very long time ago, oracles were used before battles, especially the Greeks and warring states that were relying heavily on military conquest. They all used psychic seers, psychics who had special ability to foretell enemy formations, enemy whereabouts, strength in numbers, and also they had the ability to sometimes summon storms. So these are the range of the psychic abilities that the humans have. It seems like it's quite unique to the individuals, depending on what they are gravitating towards. Also, in varying degrees of power scale as well. Like some can be able to influence storms, some are able to move objects, some are more clairvoyance, telepathy, some are more psychokinetic. Unfortunately, all the psychics during the mid-ages didn't fare so well. If you think about the trial at Salem, where a lot of the psychics were rounded up and also persecuted. Unfortunately, that's a huge step back, I guess, from genetics and generational knowledge, I guess, is lost due to the purge. A lot of the psychics kind of went underground. A lot of the psychics kind of dispersed and stopped practicing altogether, which is a huge loss if you think about it. Let's talk about the more famous human psychics. I'm pretty sure you guys all know who this is. If you guys don't, and this is Nostradamus. I guess during his time it was quite dangerous to be a psychic, as a lot of the inquisitors were hunting them down and rounding them up and making a big bonfire to roast them like marshmallows. He wrote a series of books in cryptic notes. His abilities was foreseeing, clairvoyance, and precognition. The method he used was scribing. It can adhere to automatic writing, channeling, alter state. These were the range of abilities that Nostradamus has, who centered his consciousness into the future and returned back with information, or just decoding the message and energy being sensed at that time, and to be able to decipher it and put pen to paper and foretell what was to come. And next we have Nina Caligula. Sorry for the pronunciation if it's incorrect. Her ability was very, very strong. Apparently she had come from a whole line of psychics. Her magnetism and her ability to control her energy was pretty much off the charts. Like, she was very strong in telekinesis and also remote influencing. So the Russians were studying her for quite some time and put her through a lot of experiments, and she was able to do amazing telekinesis feats, such as moving objects under a glass, or moving like very heavy objects just with her bioenergetic field alone. One of the photos you see right now is her actually picking up an object within her bioelectric field and just suspending it in mid-air with her hands. There was also remote influencing that she did on smaller animals to be able to affect them from a distance, and also the distance that she was able to do was almost unlimited. So I'll class her ability as telekinetic and psychokinetic, and with a hint of remote influencing, but her definitely strong point was telekinetic ability. And next we have Argo. Oh my god, Argo. If you guys have not read the book Surgeon with a Rusty Knife, it's the story about Argo. You should pick it up on Kindle or pick it up on audiobook. This is amazing book. You must read. Argo is a Brazilian man who was channeling Dr. Fritz. He was going around to Brazil healing the most ill patients that were sick, dying, needing treatments. If they couldn't afford the treatment, he would perform treatments on them for free. So he was channeling Dr. Fritz, who was healing so many people in Brazil. Even the president of Brazil was getting healed by Dr. Fritz. And the story is just amazing. He had performed surgeries on people who had cataracts, had cancer, had tumors. He did amazing feats with his psychic abilities. So his psychic abilities, I will class him as a channeler. Argo was the channeler, but Dr. Fritz was the spirit that was being channeled. So Dr. Fritz himself had amazing abilities. Like, he would be able to stop the patient from bleeding. So when he's operating on them, there was little to no blood loss, and also everybody that he healed had no any like negative symptoms. They were healed within like a couple of weeks. And also during one of his operations, he was able to put the patient under a deep trance. And also he has the ability to read people's minds. I won't go into too much detail on Argo. What I suggest to you guys is to pick up the book The Surgeon with the Rusty Knife. It's the story about Argo. If you guys get a chance, read through it. It's an amazing book. Not only that, there's documentary that was done on him while he was performing these amazing surgical feats. You could see it what he was doing, and yeah, it's just mind-blowing. We have Guy Beverly. He is a performer, but some of the performance that he has done is not just illusions and trickery. If you know how psychic functioning works, you can see some of the psychic abilities that he has. He's not only being tested on many occasions, but they actually scientifically study his brainwave while he was performing some of the tricks. And there's certain spikes within his mind that can causes the abilities to manifest, I guess. So his abilities are telekinesis. He can control that at will. He can also destroy objects that are metallic, melt spoons, break spoons, and also twist spoons. And he doesn't need to be in the same location as these objects. These type of stuff could happen while he's across the room, or he's at home and the spoon is miles away. Not only that, he can read people's minds to a degree where he's almost, I'd say, 99.9% accurate in what a person is thinking or what they're about to do. His main feats are telekinesis, psychokinesis, mind reading. He also had precognition sometimes to be able to tell when an event was about to unfold, especially during his performances. Not only that, I would suspect he has more wide-ranging abilities that he hasn't really shown us. But I have seen him do remote influencing as well, as a type of mind-to-mind type of influencing that he's able to do. And now it was Uri Geller. He's probably holding the world record for the most spoon bent with using psychokinesis. The interesting thing about Uri Geller, even though he's a performer, he's actually a very upper tier psychic. I'm guessing like probably one of the strongest psychics that we have in terms of population wise. He would be like the 0.001% at the most powerful. Some of his feats are like bending spoon, yes, but in terms of bending spoons and doing a lot of psychokinetic work and influencing work and mind to mind, Uri would be up there in terms of psychics. Him and Guy Beverly, their abilities are almost parallel, but my gut instinct says Yuri's ability is much higher. Just in terms of the energy output, you can kind of sense his energy output is much higher, whereas Guy Beverly's is more of a focus. So in terms of looking at it, one, Guy Beverly has been training since he was 15, right? 15 years old of age, he had been training in these abilities. And you have Uri Geller, who is a natural, right? A natural gifted psychic. So the difference between a trained psychic and a natural psychic is far and few in between. So a natural psychic uses their abilities 100% of the time, whereas a trained psychic only uses it when they're being told to or when they're focused on something. So I believe Uri Geller is a natural born psychic. He would be classed at the upper tier. It will be interesting to see how powerful this guy is. He had been studied quite a few times by a few physicists, such as Hal Puthoff and also Aja Purge, I think. I can't pronounce his name properly, but he went around studying like all sorts of paranormal people with supernatural abilities, and he classed Uri as the upper tier psychics. And now we have Ingo Swann, quite an interesting character. He's an amazing pioneer, highly psychic, natural born psychic, who is able to break down the methodology that's able to be used for remote viewing. He would be the foremost, I guess, teacher of remote viewing. He had developed the Ingo Swann method, which later they called it something else. I believe CRV method. But all these remote viewers you see today, they all came from Ingo Swann's teachings, and most of these guys were either using his method or using a mixture of his method and their own method. Courtney Brown, who's an amazing physicist, he's taken up the reins of where Ingo kind of left off. He's teaching a lot of the scientific remote viewing, CRV. He's taught them to a whole group of young and up-and-coming remote viewers who are themselves teaching other people to be more remote viewers. If you guys haven't checked out farsight.prime or farsight.org, please go and check it out. It's part of the work that Courtney Brown is doing. Pretty much Courtney Brown and his team are doing an amazing job contacting the Federation and remote viewing certain events, foreseeing certain events, and also foretelling certain events. His team would be one of the most top tier remote viewers the human race have at this point in time, in terms of not only training but in skill.